Paula Roy's Favorite Foods is made possible with the help of Farm Boy. It's all about the food.
It helps with us, especially with our beginner program, so they help with tacking up the horses and caring for the horses when we're really busy. And then they also get to gain some work experience. We take co-op students on. We're quite a busy and vibrant place, and it takes a lot of people to make it work, even through to behind the scenes, from our accountant to my family who are always stepping in to help out. It takes a small village.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
On the next Fit Over 50, join us for leg strength and balance. Can't wait to see you then. Namaste.
You're watching Rogers TV.
we're going to get started. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And for those who are able, please rise for a moment of personal reflection. Merci. Thank you. As we begin our meeting today, and on behalf of Ottawa City Council, I wish to acknowledge that Ottawa is built on the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin people. The peoples of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation have lived on this territory for millennia. Their culture and presence have nurtured and continue to nurture this land. The City of Ottawa honors the peoples and land of the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation and honors all First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples and their valuable past and present contributions to this land. I'm going to move to the podium now for a special presentation. So we have a very special presentation to make this morning, and I would like to invite our interim city manager, Wendy Stephenson, and Donna Gray, general manager of community and social services, to come forward now. Thank you both. C'est un événement spécial ce matin. Donna Gray prendra
Today we do have a special event. Donna Gray will be retiring at the end of the month, and I'm pleased to have this opportunity to recognize her 35 years of dedicated public service to the City of Ottawa.
Have this opportunity to recognize her 35 years of dedicated service to the City of Ottawa and the people of Ottawa. Over the past few months, I often get asked for observations and revelations about my new job. People ask me, what's the most surprising or interesting thing that you've discovered since you became mayor? And I usually answer that I am deeply, deeply impressed by the dedication and commitment of the wonderful staff and leadership at the City of Ottawa. Our employees are talented, they're hardworking, they're caring, and they're compassionate. And there's no better example of this than Donna Gray. Donna started with the City of Ottawa as a caseworker on the front lines and rose within the organization to serve in multiple leadership roles. We all know the last 3 years have been incredibly challenging for everyone in our city. And during that time, Donna rose to the occasion, as she has done throughout her career, to find solutions. She has also led and coordinated our response to support residents during floods and storms and other emergencies. In the short time that we have worked together, I've been so fortunate to witness Donna in action. I've seen how hard she works. I've seen how she approaches difficult challenges. I've seen how thoughtfully and creatively she finds solutions to the issues that we are confronting. I've seen her work collaboratively with community agencies, members of the public, city staff, and elected officials. So I've seen Donna's intelligence and her dedication firsthand, but most of all, I've observed her heart, her compassion, her sensitivity, and her kindness. I've seen how much she genuinely cares about the people of Ottawa, and especially our most vulnerable. Donna's dedication to making a difference not only in the community, but in the workplace is remarkable. Throughout her career, Donna has championed and mentored women in the workplace, empowering them in their career development and growth. She is a resolute leader who puts people first. She is a trailblazer and a role model and she is a fierce defender of women and of gender and race equity. So I think I speak for everyone here, Donna, when I say, please don't go. No. When I say thank you, Donna, for your incredible service. We are grateful not just for your leadership and dedication, but for the privilege of knowing you and witnessing the kind of person that you are. And I'd now like to invite Interim City Manager Wendy Stephenson to say a few words.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire, and good morning, everyone. Bonjour à toutes et tous. I'm so pleased to be here this morning to offer some words to you, Donna, and to everyone else. You are one of our most dedicated municipal employees, and I'm not going to say please don't go because I totally understand that it's time to retire, and we're going to wish you well today in terms of your retirement. And as Mayor Sutcliffe mentioned, you're going to be retiring in just a little over 1 week. You've had about 35 years here with the City of Ottawa. You've served the organization for more than 3 decades, which is, I'd say, extremely impressive in itself in terms of sticking to one organization. And I'd like to take the opportunity today to illustrate the significant and positive impact that you have had on the organization and the community with respect to the work that you've done. I reflect on the first time that I met Donna. It was very early on in my career. And Donna was working on a project to improve client service in the Community Services and Social Services Department. It was really about leveraging technology at that point in time. And I'm going to say this was in the mid-90s, so technology was leading edge back then in terms of improving everything that we do and serving the clients that we do. And I immediately saw at that point in time Donna's strong commitment to serving and supporting the city's most vulnerable population, as well as her dedication to innovation with the goal of improving service delivery. And this same commitment that Donna displayed back then has remained just as strong today as the day that we met. Le fort engagement dont elle fait ses preuves est alors
The strong commitment that she showed is still present today.
To transform and improve supports and services, not only within the organization, but also in the community and the social services sector. She's constantly looked for ways to advance the organization's culture transformation, the agenda, including our client relationship management, our employee engagement, service delivery innovation, and service excellence. Just a few examples. We don't have time to talk about all of the accomplishments you've had because they've been extremely many over the years. But a couple of examples to speak to your dedication in terms of modernizing the organization's information technology services. You've sought to improve client service and the client experience through strategic planning, your launching of Service Ottawa, and bringing together all of the services under one roof, which is a tremendous undertaking and an incredible impact in terms of the community that we serve today. How you've transformed how the city engages and interacts and provides services and information to citizens and to businesses and our clients. And I think back to that Service Ottawa project. It was a $79 million initiative. Again, leveraging technology and business processes, but that generated annual ongoing savings of $40 million a year for the corporation. It was truly incredible. And then I fast forward to the work that you've done, the exceptional work in terms of the COVID-19 response. We were in one of the most unprecedented times with respect to our city and our organization, with, facing the COVID pandemic. And Donna, you pulled together the Human Needs Task Force. You led that initiative. Your amazing team worked countless with employees, community organizations, our agencies, our institutions, and multiple levels of government, and ensured that the most vulnerable people in our community received the supports that they needed. And you did this solving complex social issues, and you delivered on key community priorities. And the work did not stop. It was just a truly incredibly challenging time for everybody. And throughout the pandemic, our entire organization benefited from your knowledge and your expertise that you brought to the table, thinking of all the different places that you've worked across the organization. You worked in Emergency and Protective Services, Community and Social Services Department, Service Innovation and Performance Development. All of that came in terms of you leaning into the senior leadership team and the rest of the organization to provide the advice that we needed to get through. So I thank you for that, and the organization thanks you for that. It's truly incredible. And as a member of the city's senior leadership team, Donna has earned the respect not only of her colleagues around the table, but also from staff right around the organization. Donna is a true servant leader. One of the things I noted about her back in the day when we first met is just how much value she placed in her people and how she always goes out of her way to make everyone feel like they truly mattered. She's been a wonderful coach and a mentor within our organization, and she's had such a positive impact on so many individuals. And Donna's been an advocate for women working in the city, and she's advanced equity, inclusion, diversity, both within our organization and our community, leading critical work such as the anti-racism strategy, women and gender equity strategy, and Indigenous relations. So in closing, Donna, on behalf of the senior leadership team and the entire organization, I'd like to extend my heartfelt appreciation for your tremendous leadership, as well as your commitment to the city and the community. Since you announced your retirement, I've heard from so many staff, and the common theme is how much they're going to miss you and how much of an inspiration that you have truly been. So Donna, we wish you well on your well-deserved retirement. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
We'll let you speak in a moment, Donna, but not just yet. Je tiens à vous remercier au nom du Conseil municipal et
On
des...
behalf of the City Council and the Ottawa citizen, I would like to thank you for your leadership and for everything that you have done for our residents.
Residents of Ottawa, I want to thank you, Donna, for your leadership and for all you have done for our residents. And we'd like to now present you with a special gift in recognition of your many years of service, a framed photograph of the Heritage Building where you have worked for a big chunk of your career. So it's a reminder of work for you when you're retired, but here we go. Go ahead, Donna.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Wendy, for the very kind comments this morning. And I want to take the opportunity, as you've looked at kind of a synopsis of my career, I want to take the opportunity to thank members of council today. This council, who I've already had many moments of success in the short time since this council has assumed the leadership of the City of Ottawa. And it has been a wonderful experience. And I want to thank the previous councils who have enabled me to have incredible opportunities in this city to make a difference. It is the important role of council for each administration and each term of council to guide us, to give us direction, and to meet the needs of the constituents in this city. And each council throughout my career, I've been so impressed with the incredible contributions they have made to make Ottawa a great city. And I know in the early days, and I said that to Mayor Sutcliffe, I can see the value and the incredible success that this council will have in this term of council. And it's for that I will miss. I also want to take the opportunity to thank all city staff. Through my career, I've had the opportunity to touch every single service in the city, and I have seen the incredible dedication, commitment, and perseverance that our staff do overcome to deliver service every day, even in what has been through many storms and emergencies, very difficult times, including the pandemic. And I specifically want to thank my staff of the Community and Social Services Department. They truly are hidden heroes. They work every day tirelessly to overcome so many variables and social issues to deliver service every day. And they do that with care, compassion, and respect. And I have learned so much over my career from the staff who have supported me in my leadership roles. I'd also like to thank the senior leadership team who has provided guidance, compassion, grit through some really difficult times. Wendy, under your leadership and through the transformation, it has been a wonderful experience. And I'd like to thank the former leadership teams that I've had the privilege to serve on, each one bringing a new skill, experience, and tremendous professionalism to the role that we play. And I'd like to take a moment to thank our former city manager, Steve Kanalakis, for whom I've served for many years and was a true mentor and support of city staff in the organization. And I would like to thank the community who's worked together in partnership with my department and with the entire city in delivering services during complex time. We have an incredible sector and an incredible community who comes together with city staff to work in partnership and collaboration. And lastly, I'd like to thank my family, my mom and dad and my husband who are here today, who've been great supporters of my life throughout my career, who have been part of my career, and for whom now I will dedicate my love, my support, and my commitment in my next phase of my life, my next mission of my life. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today, and thank you for the generous opportunity to be here today.
Thank you again, Donna. And now, Donna will now make you sit through your final run-of-the-mill council meeting before you retire. But I wanted to say, as you did, a welcome to your parents and your husband as well. I'm glad they were here to share this moment. Just before we do the roll call, I wanted to acknowledge that today is World Water Day. This International Day of Recognition was established to highlight the importance and sustainability of fresh water. Access to fresh water affects all aspects of our lives, including drinking water, sanitation, public health and safety, and our environment. Nous pouvons être fiers de notre engagement à protéger l'environnement.
We can be very proud because we're protecting our environment as well as the health of our community.
Protect the water environment by effectively managing stormwater and treating the wastewater prior to returning it back to the Ottawa River. And I want to take this opportunity to recognize the Infrastructure and Water Service Department, who works diligently to ensure essential stormwater and wastewater procedures are in place to sustain the quality of our water systems. Our extensive water protection, environmental sustainability, and mitigating safety measures show our dedication to thriving communities and building trust with our residents. We must continue to be vigilant to care for our environment and keep our lakes and rivers free of waste. Ça prend un effort collectif pour protéger.
We have to work together to protect one of such a special resource such as water.
A difference. All right, I will now ask the Deputy Clerk to do the roll call, please.
Councillor Luloff.
Good morning.
Councillor Dudas.
Present.
Councillor Hill.
Present.
Councillor Curry.
Here.
Councillor Kelly.
Present.
Councillor Gower.
EC.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Present.
Councillor Johnson.
Here.
Councillor Devine.
Here.
Councillor Bradley.
Here.
Councillor Tierney,
Present.
Councillor Plante,
Ici.
Councillor King,
Here.
Councillor Troster, here. Councillor Leeper,
Good morning.
Councillor Brockington,
Here.
Councillor Menard,
Here.
Councillor Carr, here. Councillor Kitts, Councillor DeRuse,
Mayor.
and Councillor Brown,
Here.
Councillor DeRush,
Here.
Councillor Hubley,
Here.
Councillor Lowe,
Here.
Mayor Sutcliffe.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Let's move to the confirmation of minutes from first the minutes of the special council meeting of March the 1st. Are those carried? And the minutes of the council meeting of March 8th carried? Are there any declarations of interest? All right. I will note that we have received communications from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. There are no other communications received. We do have regrets from Councillor Kitts. So let's move now to the motion to introduce reports. Councillor Menard.
Thank you very much, Mayor. That the report from the Selection Panel Accessibility Advisory Committee entitled Appointments to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, the report from the Selection Panel Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation Board entitled Appointments to the Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation Board, the report from the Selection Plan Shaw Centre Board of Directors entitled Appointments to the Shaw Centre Board of Directors, the report from the Selection Panel Moores Landing Quillon Port Authority entitled Appointment to the Moores Landing Quillon Port Authority, Built Heritage Committee Report 3, Finance and Corporate Services Committee Report 2, Planning and Housing Committee Reports 4A and 5, and the report from the City Clerk entitled Summary of Oral and Written Public Submissions for Items Subject to the Planning Act Explanation Requirements at the City Council meeting of March 8th, 2023 be received and considered. And that the rules of procedure be suspended to receive and consider item 2 of Planning and Housing Committee Report 5, report entitled 2031 Municipal Housing Pledge due to the time sensitivity of the item contained in the report.
Thank you, Councillor Menard. Is that carried? All right, item 11.1, appointments to the Accessibility Advisory Committee. I understand there is a motion from Councillor Luloff.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the Accessibility Advisory Committee provides advice to Council and is consulted by City staff on projects under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act 2005, or where the City benefits from an accessibility lens, and whereas City Council meeting of March 22, 2023, Council will consider recommended public member appointments to the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the 2022 to 2026 term of Council, and whereas the committee also includes one member of Council in a non-voting liaison capacity, whereas the Office of the City Clerk undertook a circulation to seek expressions of interest from members of Council interested in participating in the sponsors group and received an expression of interest from Councillor Carr, therefore be it resolved that Councillor Marty Carr, as the Councillor be nominated as the Councillor Liaison for the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And thank you to Councillor Carr for putting her name forward. This is a very important role to play. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. So thank you so much for putting your name forward.
Thank you, Councillor Luloff. Is the motion carried? All right, and then the rest of 11.1 is the appointments, the other appointments. Is that carried?
Carried.
All right, item 11.2 is appointments to the Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation Board. Is that carried? Item 11.3, appointments to the Shaw Centre Board of Directors. Is that carried? Item 11.4 is the appointment to the Moores Landing Quillon Port Authority. Is that carried? All right, moving to item 12, which is the Built Heritage Committee report. Designation of the Crabtree House on the committee's recommendation. Is that carried? Moving to Finance and Corporate Services Committee. Item 13.1 is the Brownfield grant application for Montreal Road and Selkirk Street. Is that recommendation carried?
Carried.
Okay. Are there any dissents? I'll note my dissent, but are there any other dissents?
Yeah, I'll dissent, Mayor. Thank you.
Dissents.
Okay. So myself, Councillor Menard, Councillor Kavanagh, and Councillor Bradley and Councillor Curry. Dissenting? Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Item 14 from Planning and Housing Committee. 14.1 is the 2024 Development Charge Bylaw and Community Benefits Charge Bylaw Review Councilors Sponsor Group. There is a motion here, I think. Councillor Leeper?
There is, thank you, Mayor. With respect to this item, whereas at its meeting of February 27th, PHC approved the process to establish a council sponsors group to provide input and advice to the 2024 DC bylaw and CBC bylaw update as detailed in the report is amended. Whereas the council sponsors group is to be made up of 5 members of council, 2 reps of the suburban area, 2 reps of the urban area, and directed that 1 be inner urban and 1 outer urban, and 1 member of the rural area, as well as the GM Pred or a designate, as well as other city staff as needed. And whereas Pred undertook a circulation to seek expressions of interest from members interested in participating in the sponsors group and received expression of interest from 7 councillors. Therefore, be it resolved that the following members of council be appointed to participate in the 2024 DC bylaw and community benefits charge bylaw update council sponsors group. 1, Councillor Glenn Gower, suburban. 2, Councillor Wilson Lowe, suburban. 3, Councillor David Brown, rural. 4, Councillor Lane Johnson, outer urban. 5, Councillor Sean Menard, inner urban.
Thank you, Councillor Leeper. Is the motion carried? Okay, and are the committee's recommendations carried? Item 15 is the Planning and Housing Committee report number 5. Item 15.1 is the zoning bylaw amendment for 360 Kennedy Lane East. Is that carried? Item 15.2 is the municipal housing pledge from the Planning and Housing Committee. Is that carried? But, oh, right. Yeah. Everybody put your hands on your hearts for the pledge. Okay, moving to the bulk consent agenda. Are there any items to be lifted from the bulk consent agenda? Okay, is the bulk consent agenda approved? Carried? Okay. There are no in-camera items. And so item 18 is the disposition of items approved by committees under delegated authority. Okay, is that received? Okay. Item 19 is a motion to adopt reports. Councillor Menard.
Thank you very much, Mayor. That the report from the Selection Panel Accessibility Advisory Committee entitled Appointments to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, the report from the Selection Panel Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation Board entitled Appointments to the Ottawa Community Lands Development Corporation Board, the report from the Selection Plan Shaw Centre Board of Directors entitled Appointments to the Shaw Centre Board of Directors, the report from the Selection Panel Moores Landing Queen Port Authority entitled Appointments to the Moores Landing Queen Port Authority, Built Heritage Committee Report 3, Finance and Corporate Services Committee Report 2, Planning and Housing Committee Reports 4A and 5, and the report from the City Clerk entitled Summary of Oral and Written Public Submissions for Items Subject to the Planning Act, Explanation Requirements at the City Council meeting of March 8th, 2023 be received and adopted as amended.
All right, is that carried? Motions of which notice has previously been given. Item 20.1 is motion from Councillor Dudas. Councillor Dudas.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll read the therefore be resolved. Therefore be resolved that City Council approve the installation of a plaque in Centrepoint Park to mark the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Polish Combatants Association Branch Number 8, and therefore further be resolved that the plaque read, "This tree was planted to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the founding of the Polish Combatants Association Branch Number 8 in Polish, English, and in French."
Thank you, Councillor Dudas. Is the motion carried? Next item is also a motion from Councillor Dudas.
Thank you. Once again, I'll read the therefore be resolved that Council approve the use of Jean Piggott Hall for this fundraising event on April 23rd and waive the rental fee and associated costs for furniture, equipment, and staffing to support the people of Turkey following this devastating event.
Is the motion carried? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Dudas. Motions requiring suspension of the rules of procedure. We first have a motion from Councillor Gower, seconded by Councillor Curry, regarding Councillor Lowe's participation in the Canadian Urban Transit Association, and this is a time-sensitive request. So on suspension of the rules, is that carried? Okay. Councillor Gower.
Thank you. So I'll skip ahead to the therefore be it resolved. Therefore, be it resolved that Council approve the participation of Councillor Wilson Lowe on the Canadian Urban Transit Association's Transit Board Members Committee, and be it further resolved that Council approve the attendance of Councillor Lowe in the CUTA Spring Summit and Annual General Meeting being held May 7th to 9th in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and be it further resolved that the costs for Councillor Lowe's participation in the conference and future meetings of the Transit Board Members Committee be funded from the Council Administration budget.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Is the motion carried? Next, we have a motion from Councillor Leeper, seconded by me, regarding 1 and 19 Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway on suspension of the rules. Is that carried? Councillor Leeper.
Thank you very much, Mayor. This is with respect to the Embassy Row property that's north of La Roche Park in Mechanicsville. The motion reads, be it resolved that Council approve the resolution of the appeals by the National Capital Commission in respect of the refusal of Council to adopt an official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment in respect of 1 and 19 Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway on the basis of recommendations by City Planning staff as modified where applicable by the following principles. 1, diplomatic missions are a permitted land use. 2, no more than 5 lots shall be created. 3, no more than 5 principal buildings are to be constructed. 4, parking is encouraged to be underground. Parking at grade is to be sensitively screened, and if parking is above grade, then it is to be integrated into the principal building and shall not be visible. 5, the lands to be redesignated as neighborhood and rezoned as minor institutional shall be revised to be only the lands to the west of a northerly projection of the eastern edge of Stonehurst Avenue. 6, a sidewalk shall be constructed on the north side of Burnside Avenue from Hinchy Avenue to Slidell Street, and an active transportation connection on the northwest side of Slidell from Burnside to Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway at the time of the construction of the first embassy. 7, a pedestrian corridor will be provided to the north of the Riverton Apartments between Forward Avenue and Hinchy Avenue. And 8, a holding zone shall be imposed that shall only be lifted in accordance with the requirements with respect to transportation impact assessment criteria in document 3 in the staff report as revised by Council on February 9, 2022. Be it further resolved that the city solicitor be authorized to execute minutes of settlement in accordance with the above principles, subject to such modifications as may be agreed to by the mayor and the ward councillor. If I may add a few words, colleagues, I know that there will be some significant disappointment in the community that we were not able to fully prevail. However, I would ask my colleagues to support this motion today. I believe it is the most prudent way forward, and there are a number of significant gains for the community that I think I can celebrate, including the creation of a much larger park space than the NCC had originally proposed, and some significant new active transportation infrastructure. So I do hope that we will have your support to settle this according to the compromise that has been reached by the Mechanicsville Community Association, the city, and the National Capital Commission. I would just like to say thank you very much to Mr. Mark and Mr. Grom, city solicitors who have worked very hard on this, as well as the residents and the executive of the Mechanicsville Community Association, who have also poured their hearts into this appeal. With that, Mayor, I'll leave it to the vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Leeper. Councillor Gower.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. On a point of privilege, I may have a potential deemed indirect pecuniary interest on this item since my partner is employed by the NCC, so therefore I will not be participating in the vote on this item.
Thank you, Councillor Gower. Anyone else? Okay, is the motion carried? Okay, dissent from Councillor Tierney. Anyone else? Okay, Councillor Luloff. And Dudas? Okay. Thank you. Notices of motion for consideration at a subsequent meeting, beginning with Councillor Menard.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Whereas the Ottawa Sports Entertainment Group would like to use firework-related smoke devices at Ottawa Atletico games at TD Place, and whereas OSEG has developed procedures to ensure the safety of staff and patrons of the events, and whereas the City of Ottawa prohibits the use of smoke devices in bylaw number 2003-237, as amended, being the fireworks bylaw, and whereas OSEG has used smoke devices in 2017 to 2022 seasons with prior approval by City Council and received no complaints. And whereas Ottawa Fire Services has been consulted on the smoke devices and believes these devices can be used safely, therefore be it resolved that the City of Ottawa grant an exemption to bylaw number 2003-237 as amended to OSEG to allow for the use of smoke devices for Atletico games starting April 15th, 2023 until December 31st, 2026 for home games and playoff games, if required, and granting OSEG an exemption from Section 17 of the bylaw, which requires a permit application to be made 30 days in advance to the proposed use, subject to OSEG meeting all other permit requirements of the bylaw, including Section 18, to the satisfaction of the fire chief. And be it further resolved that following the 2024 season, the General Manager of Emergency and Protective Services issue a memo to Council summarizing any issues raised by the public, OSEG, or OFS regarding the use of smoke devices at TE Place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Menard. The next notice of motion is from Councillor Desroches.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. It's moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Luloff. I thank him for his service, first of all, and for overcoming your loyalties to the Army to support this motion. So whereas on January 31st, 1923, the Government of Canada authorized the organization of a force to be called the Royal Canadian Navy Volunteer Reserves. Whereas the reserve serves as the backbone of the Royal Canadian Navy, recruiting sailors from across the country, including the Ottawa area. Whereas the local Naval Reserve Unit, HMCS Carleton, was also formed in 1923. Whereas the reserve played a critical role during the Second World War, helping establish the third largest Navy in the world, with 95,000 men and women in uniform and 434 commissioned vessels, including cruisers, destroyers, frigates, corvettes, and auxiliary vessels. Whereas reservists are members of the Royal Canadian Navy who typically serve on a part-time basis. They are employees, co-workers, and students from the community who embody the courage, loyalty, and integrity. Whereas naval reservists have deployed on operations at sea and on land around the world, from counter-narcotics missions to the Caribbean and Pacific Ocean to sovereignty patrols in the Canadian Arctic. Whereas naval reservists have supported provincial and local authorities in domestic operations, including support to flooding and care for seniors in Ontario and Quebec during the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas local commemorative events will include restoration and rededication of the Royal Canadian Navy Reserve Anniversary Monument and the annual Navy Bike Ride, and whereas the City of Ottawa has a role as the nation's capital to participate in events and help commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Naval Reserves, as well as HMCS Carleton. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Ottawa undertake the following activities to commemorate the 100th anniversary. First, Freedom of the City ceremony for HMCS Carleton in September of 2023, planting a small selection of anniversary tulips in the Elgin Street Gardens, and planting of a 100th anniversary tree in Diamond Jubilee Park in Finlay Creek. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Desroches. Next is a notice of motion from Councillor Dudas.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Hydro Ottawa Limited, Hydro Ottawa is a local distribution company that is wholly owned by the City of Ottawa. And whereas Hydro Ottawa is a public service company and community asset whose purpose is to provide efficient and reliable services and help deliver on the city's economic and environmental ambitions. Whereas Hydro Ottawa has the infrastructure, expertise, and service delivery channels to be one of the most important enablers of sustainable energy solutions across the city and Eastern Ontario. Therefore, it be resolved that the city manager and city clerk be directed to notify Hydro Ottawa of any staff reports and/or promotions being brought to the City Council that may impact the City of Ottawa's electricity grid or emergency preparedness of the grid, in order that it may provide meaningful guidance. And be it further resolved that staff consult with Hydro Ottawa in developing projects in the city that may impact the electricity grid's current and future capacity resiliency, so that Hydro Ottawa may provide expertise and advice subject to any restrictions contemplated by applicable competition legislation.
Thank you, Councillor Dudas. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas City Council approved the new parkland dedication bylaw on August 31st, 2022, and whereas the bylaw now requires parkland conveyance or cash in lieu of parkland to be provided to the city before the issuance of a building permit for a new dwelling, if it cannot be demonstrated that parkland dedication has been previously satisfied in accordance with the Planning Act. And whereas the bylaw requires conveyance of parkland or cash in lieu of parkland at 5% of the gross land area for low-density residential uses, and whereas Section 3 of the bylaw permits council to waive parkland dedication fees. Therefore, be it resolved that the City Council waive the cash in lieu of parkland fees required for the pending building permit at 5703 Loggers Way, and be it further resolved that City Council directs staff to review the parkland dedication bylaw to determine whether the bylaw should be amended to extend the transition clauses for rural building permits outside of villages where lands were subdivided for individual residential lot purposes prior to the new bylaw coming into force, and report back to the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee by Q3 2024. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kelly. I don't believe there are any other notices of motion. So let's move to the motion to introduce a very, very long list of bylaws. 4 pages long. Councillor Menard.
I'm just looking. I'm hoping I have the right thing here. Que les règlements énumérés à l'ordre du jour sur le titre motion portant présentation des
The
règlements.
bylaws listed on the agenda under motion to introduce bylaws, 3 readings be read and passed. Adopté.
That the following bylaw be read and passed to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting of March 22nd, 2023.
Is that carried? Are there any inquiries? Oh, Councillor Brockington.
Thank you, Mayor. Would staff please provide an update to council on plan efforts in 2023 with respect to tree issues following the 2022 derecho storm? Would staff estimate the number of trees lost on city property as a result of the storm? This includes city ROW lands on residential properties. The number of trees and stumps that remain to be addressed. This includes city right-of-way lands that abut residential properties. And the specific plan to replace trees that were lost in 2022, including the number of trees to be planted in 2023 that are not part of the normal annual tree planting program. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Brockington. Any other inquiries? Okay, motion to adjourn. Councillor Menard. Carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Merci beaucoup.
Good afternoon. Bonjour à tous. My name is Kendra Titley and I will be your moderator. Je m'appelle Kendra Titley et je serai l'animatrice de ce point de presse. I will now invite each agency in reverse of alphabetical order to ask questions. You may ask one question with a follow-up. Par ordre alphabétique inverse, j'invite maintenant chaque organisme à poser une question et une question de suivi. When asking your questions, please identify who your question is directed to, and if you are in council chambers, please use the microphone. Lorsque vous posez vos questions, veuillez indiquer à qui s'adresse votre question, et si vous êtes dans la salle du conseil, veuillez le faire au micro. We'll now start with, nous allons commencer par Charles-Antoine Gagnon à la 3.
Bonjour. Si je comprends bien,
hello. If I understand well, the City Council is opening the door for new embassies. I know that these lands belongs to the National Capital Commission, but I would like to know, why are you giving the approval? Because we have a lot of empty buildings within the city of Ottawa. Maybe they could use these empty buildings for the embassies. Why do we need an embassy in that area? Maybe the members of my team can provide you with some answers, but I will start. First of all, this land belongs to the National Capital Commission. We've worked together with them to improve this plan. We're talking about 5 embassies and other improvements. I think this will be a good solution for the residents of this area. And this is what is possible under the present circumstances. Like I said, the lands belong to the NCC. So this is a major point in this situation. This is a question that you have to ask the NCC. This is their decision. They want to attract embassies on that lot. The role of the City of Ottawa is to collaborate with the National Capital Commission to improve the plan and to do this as quickly as possible. But once more, this is an NCC decision. The City of Ottawa has to work with the NCC. If we do not agree with the NCC, there will be a judiciary process, and it doesn't mean that the decision will be in the favor of the City of Ottawa. This is the best solution for the residents. Thank you very much, Charles-Antoine.
So my question is for the mayor. Tomorrow and Friday is an important day with the presidential visit. President Biden coming. How important is that for the City of Ottawa and his first official visit as president to the capital?
I think it's important for the City of Ottawa at any time that a foreign president, a visiting president, or prime minister or head of state is coming to our city. It's an opportunity to showcase the capital and for people from all over the world to see what a beautiful city Ottawa is. Obviously, there are some important meetings that are going to take place as well. But I think it's always a great moment when we have the opportunity to show off Ottawa as the capital of Canada. And I hope that I hope the president and the first lady have a wonderful time in our city. I'm glad they're going to be spending some time here, and I understand they're going to be they're going to be doing a few things while they're here, not just meeting and speaking. I'm excited to see them here, and I think it's a great opportunity to show off what Ottawa has to offer.
So my next question is for you as well, about another visit that's happening on Monday. Gary Bettman is expected to come and discuss potential sales for the Sens. Would you support the city being a partner in funding a new arena?
I'm looking forward to meeting with Commissioner Bettman, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to speak with him on Monday. I'm excited to see what the process of the sale of the Senators yields. It sounds like there are a lot of very interested parties and a lot of very successful and well-established entrepreneurs and others who are interested in buying the team, which is really exciting. I'm glad to see that interest in our hockey team and in our city. I think the prospective owners are just as interested in Ottawa as they are in the Senators, which I'm excited about. I think it's a huge opportunity. As for the arena, we'll have to take a look at that once a new owner is in place, and once that new owner decides what they want to do with their discussions with the NCC on LeBreton Flats. So there are a few hurdles to cross before we're entering into those kinds of discussions about an arena and about the city's role in that arena. I think there's a role that the city can play in supporting an NHL arena, but I think it's too early to know what that would look like, and no requests have been made, and we don't know whether the new owners want to move to LeBreton Flats. We don't know whether the deal with LeBreton Flats will move forward, and we don't know what kinds of requests they might make. So we're ready to cooperate and collaborate, and I think there's a role for the city to play in facilitating, but we'll wait to see what the new owners have to say about all of that.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to Chris Curris at City News Ottawa.
Good morning. My first question is to the mayor. The Ontario budget is set to be tabled tomorrow. What would you like to see for the city of Ottawa?
I'm looking forward to seeing the budget, and I'm grateful that we've begun a collaborative relationship with the provincial government, and I think they're aware of our priorities. We've made that clear in our discussions with the Premier and with the Premier's office, and with the Finance Minister. So at a high level, I would say, obviously transit funding is very important. We need sustainable transit funding from our partners with the provincial government and the federal government going forward. We need support in building more affordable housing in Ottawa. That's vitally important as well. And we need to make sure that, as the provincial government has promised, that Ottawa will be kept whole with regard to some of the implications of Bill 23. So those would be some of the things that I would be looking for in the budget tomorrow, but that's just one step, one milestone in an ongoing relationship with the provincial government.
Perfect. And just a follow-up, do we have an update yet on when Wellington Street might open and what that new opening would include?
Sure. Wendy? Yeah.
Thanks very much, Chris, for the question. Staff are working with the NCC and the federal government in terms of the plan to reopen Wellington. What it's looking like is, I'm going to say, likely around end of April, early May, in terms of taking down the barriers and opening it up to vehicle traffic. And it's just dependent on some of the pieces of work that have to be put in place, and some of the functioning light standards, as well as the pedestrian and the bicycle traffic pieces that have to go into place.
Thank you very much. We'll now go to Joanne Chianello at CBC Ottawa.
Hello. Mayor, I'm going to follow up on Leah's questions about Gary Bettman visiting. It sounds like you have a meeting planned with him. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that. I don't know if that's the first time you've met with him about the Sens, and also about, our understanding is some of the bidders are interested in LeBreton, some of them are not, right? And I'm wondering if I think you've said before, no direct money, sort of city money that would go into an arena. I don't know if that's still what you're saying now. Would you be open to, for example, an arena going on city land somewhere in the center? So there's a few sort of hockey questions there.
Sure. Again, I'm looking forward to meeting Gary Bettman. We've spoken on the phone once, and this will be my first time meeting him in person as mayor. I'm grateful for the fact that the commissioner has signaled over and over again through this process that that the senators are staying in Ottawa. I think that's shown commitment on his part, for which I'm grateful. I think this is a huge opportunity for our city to have new owners and to have new leadership of the team. And obviously, as you know, there's some interesting names being thrown around about who the new owners might be. And I see that as a commitment, not just to the hockey team, but to the city of Ottawa. Once the new owners are in place, that's when the discussion begins about where the hockey team will play over the next 20 years. They have an arena in Canada. I've always said if they were ever to move from that arena in Canada, we need to make sure that there's a plan for the Canadian Tire Centre and what the use of that land and property will be going forward, because that's an important economic driver for the west end of the city. So that would need to be part of any discussion we have. In terms of where an arena could go in the future, there is this, potential with LeBreton Flats, but it's not guaranteed. And so I think it's important for the new owners to signal whether they want to move to LeBreton Flats, to have those negotiations with the NCC, and then see where we go from there. But I'm open to whatever is best for the city of Ottawa and whatever's best for hockey fans and for the Senators. So if the owners want to stay in Canada, if they want to move to LeBreton Flats, if they want to look at other options, I'm interested in having all those discussions.
Sure. And I understand that there's like a million details before we get to the end, for sure. But I think in the past you've said sort of no direct city funding of an arena. I'm not sure if that's still the case, if everything is on the table. I mean, and again, I recognize you don't know what people are going to ask for, but we know that there's no market the size of Ottawa that has an NHL team without some local government support. So wondering if you can talk, even if it's in broad strokes, about the kind of support, city support you're willing to give to a team.
I think a lot of that really just depends on where things go from here. So it's very early to be talking about what could happen in the future in terms of an arena. So we don't even know who the new owners are going to be. We don't know if they want to build a new arena. We don't know if they would want to do it on the LeBreton Flats or they'd want to do it somewhere else. So there's a lot of hypotheticals here, and I'm ready to have those conversations. I know, from the campaign that there is a significant public appetite for the Senators to remain in Ottawa, which I'm glad they will be. For the Senators, I think there's a lot of people who want to see a more centrally located arena and feel that's in the best interests of the city and of, economic development and transit and other considerations. So the city's got a role to play in this. It may not be a financial role, but there are lots of other things, other ways that the city can contribute to the process. And I'm ready to have those conversations, but it's very early. We don't even know who the new owners are, and even if they want to move.
But might it be a financial contribution? Like, is that off the table? Or is everything on the table?
There isn't a table yet, I guess is what I would say. So until there's a table, I think it's premature to have those kinds of conversations. There's no question the city's budget is tight and there are lots of other priorities. So I'm not a fan of putting city money into an arena, but it depends on so many factors. I think it's too early to have that conversation.
Thanks.
Thanks, Joanne. Last but not least, we'll go to Cindy Tran at the Canadian Press.
Hello. Oh, no. Excuse me. Okay, that's much better. My question is directed to the mayor. So this is regarding the presidential visit. And I understand you were not mayor when Obama came to visit back in 2016, but I want to ask, does this visit feel different in terms of maybe excitement and the planning portion of things compared to Obama?
I haven't thought about that, to be honest. I think, anytime the president of the United States is coming to Ottawa, I think it's a big moment for the city. And obviously, there are a number of different reasons for that. It's going to be, there are going to be some logistics. Obviously, there are going to be some roads that will be closed, and we will be communicating regularly with the public on that. So that's significant. But as I said earlier, I think it's an opportunity to show off Ottawa to the world. I think it's an opportunity to remind people that sometimes need a reminder that Ottawa is the capital of Canada and that it's an amazing city and beautiful city, a picturesque city. So anytime the president of the United States comes to Ottawa, I think it's a great thing for our city. And I think people are excited to show off the city and excited that the president and the first lady are taking the time to visit. And unlike the visit, as I understand it, unlike the visit from President Obama, I think President Biden will be spending a little bit more time in the city than and the first lady will be spending more time in the city than President Obama did. So I think that's exciting.
Excellent. And I know the city is limited in what they can say about planning, but are there any expectations for large crowds or protests or anything like that over the next 2 days?
Cindy, we're working closely with the RCMP, the Ottawa Police Service, and other partners to mitigate any impacts to residents this week, and we'll continue to notify residents of any disruptions. But you can follow up with media relations if you have any further questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you very much. This concludes today's media availability. Ceci conclut le point de presse d'aujourd'hui. Thank you. Merci.